Rightio. So here we are with my man Chris Brady, who's been killing it inside of Forge Father. And Chris, how long have you been in the program now? Are we up to the 6 month mark yet? Where are you at?
Close. I think 5 months. I started in January.
Yep. Yeah, man, you've been chipping away, making some great progress. You had a hell of a run there in March with the March Madness Challenge, and then we just finished up the Spring Shred Challenge, which you did well in that. Saw some positive changes, and then now we're going through the Hero Challenge. So, how's the body feeling after Murph, man?
It was a little sore for a couple of days, but I think I'm doing okay now.
Yeah, and you'll be much more prepared next time we take on Murph next year, right? So,
Yeah.
And was that your first time taking on Murph?
That's with a vest.
Mm-hmm.
So I've done it in years past, but I don't wear a vest, and I usually partition up the middle. So this year I wore the vest I was kind of nursing a leg, so a leg injury. So I just wore the vest for the middle portion, but I didn't break it up. I went 100, 200, 300, and that definitely adds an element to it.
Oh yeah. And that's how I did it like that on Saturday. That's how I've done it for the last couple of years. And then I decided to do it again on Monday. And I broke it up into like 20 rounds in the middle on Monday when I retested. But it is major difference. Just the fatigue that you hit on the pull-ups, and especially with the push-ups. I think the push-ups are, the worst. They kind of break you mentally because you get to like 100 reps. And you're like, that first 100 was so hard, and I still got to do another 100. And then the body weight squats are just a grind. And then you got that whole thought in your mind of, how you got to run another mile after that. So it's
running right after those squats, the legs they start off pretty tough to move.
Yeah, your legs feel like balloons pretty much, man. So. But cool, brother. So we've been chipping away in Forge Father, and I'll be one of the first to say, man, like your hard work is it's inspiring. Seeing the follow through that you've had, and just the consistency. Really, I mean, you're always on top of your workouts. You're checking in every single week, and really, that I know that inspires others, man. And so I just wanted to kind of start off and let you know how much I respect that and appreciate that, because that's really what this is all about. Being a forged father is just really stepping up and being the leader. Being the leader for yourself, but obviously for your family, but then everybody else around you. And that's really what creates a lot of the success inside the brotherhood, as you know, is everybody's just kind of leading from the front, and we push each other. So it definitely pushes me, and I know it pushes everybody else in the brotherhood as well. And so I'm excited to dig into your journey, man. So I'll give you a chance to kind of introduce yourself. Where are you from? What do you do? And all that good stuff.
Yeah. My name is Chris Brady. I'm from Northern Indiana. I'm a police officer for the city of South Bend.
And how long have you been a police officer now?
2005. So coming up about 15 in my 15th service year, a little over 15 actually.
Yeah. Awesome. And in being a police officer, I remember we kind of discussed this when we initially spoke. I guess one of the big problems that you were facing up to that point was kind of just like with your schedule, like just, you guys tend to work pretty long hours, but doesn't it shift time to time, like every 6 months or whatnot, you might shift to another time schedule?
The big thing with me was I'm in an on-call position. I have a lot of other duties associated with the police department. So I'm assigned to the training division, but I'm also an instructor. I'm also on the SWAT team. So with those extra duties, very rarely work an 8-hour day. And especially with the on-call positions, it could have your whole evening planned. And then suddenly it's like, hey, you got to come in, we got to do this. And, it's got to be done right away. So it can be very hard to get a set schedule. Yeah,
and that's 9 times out of 10, that's typically the issue that a guy is having when he comes into the Forge Father is, his time management, discipline with time, and just, it seems like lack of time, but a lot of times it's just, we haven't planned properly. We haven't gotten full control of our schedule yet. Right. And so let's kind of talk about, I guess, where where were you before, the Forge Father began for you? I know you were following some programs that I put out on it. I remember when we first
Hmm.
spoke, you had done, gosh, there's been so many programs I put out for on it. What was it? It was the Basics to Beast. Was it six
It was
Week, wasn't it?
Week to Freak. Yep, yep,
Yes. Yes. Yep.
yep.
Yep. That's a fun one. Definitely.
That was an awesome workout. And the more I kind of dug into it, the more I liked it, because I also do martial arts, and the kettlebells translate very well into those type of movements. So, and then kind of as I got more and more into that program, I started looking into who you were, and that's how eventually I found the Forge Father.
Awesome. So let's talk about, I guess, when you looked into the program, like what were you struggling with? Like what really um, created that desire to look, for more and look for help?
I was just kind of, I guess, for lack of a better word, I was just kind of floating. I was working out regularly, but I wasn't getting the type of results that came much easier when I was younger. Um, I had had some like business opportunities that had come my way that would be kind of physically demanding, and my wife and were looking to start a family. So I just needed something to kind of take me to the next level. And that's and looking back, I didn't even know what I didn't know. So, but I needed something more to kind of to push me a little bit.
Hmm. Yeah. And oftentimes, and that can definitely be a frustration because it's like, it wasn't like you were sitting on the couch, like not doing anything. You were putting in the effort. You were, working hard at it. It just, we weren't necessarily getting things dialed in as we needed to at that point. Cause you can take yourself so far, but then you do get to a certain point where now we got to make fine tunes and tweaks and little changes here and there, especially with like the nutrition side of things. But,
Hmm.
I know on the training end of things, that's where things have really taken off. But I think most of the progress that we've seen has been on the nutrition side of things and getting you dialed in there. So, kind of talk about, I guess, what were you doing beforehand on a nutrition side of things? What was that looking like for you?
Well, I was just doing like the old cliche, like trying to eat clean.
Mhm.
Um, but I wasn't paying attention to like what I was eating, like what my macros were, or what I was putting into my body. I just tried to stay away from junk. And but then I would have lapses. I would start eating like crap for a couple of days or a week, and then try to get back on it. And
Mhm.
I didn't see. I was putting on weight, but not the good kind,
Mhm.
and just I wasn't seeing any change, I guess, for the better.
Yeah.
So, and I didn't really know what to do, because I think you always say like, well, what are you going to do? You're going to eat cleaner.
Yep.
And I really didn't have any direction as far as that was concerned.
Yeah. Yeah. And I fully relate with you. I know you know my story, but basically, like, that's a place I was in years and years ago. It's like I was to the T paleo, like eating as clean as possible. And it's like you get to this place where you've cut everything out, you're doing everything right as far as like quality goes, but it's like you're not seeing or even feeling the results that you want. And so that,
Hmm.
I know that was super frustrating for me. And um, my wife, who was my girlfriend at the time, like totally asked me straight up. She's like, "Are you trying to like bulk?" I'm like, "No." What's that mean? She's like, "You're looking a little thick." I'm like, "Well, I'm definitely not trying to get thick. I'm trying to get the opposite of thick." So, but yeah, and that's a common issue that a lot of guys have, and they don't. And it's just you know common sense. It's like, okay, eat cleaner. Cut the sugars out, cut the alcohol out, cut the breads. And all that stuff that's considered bad, and you automatically get results. Well, that's only half the battle. Once we get to that point, then we got to start to dig below the surface a little bit, and that's where we look at the macros. So let's talk about I guess your experience up to this point with the macro side of things, and kind of walk through your journey there.
Okay. So if I remember correctly, I think I started this at 216, and just from tracking alone, like before we actually had macros, um, it's amazing when you're actually looking at what you're eating and how much you're actually getting.
Yeah.
The way I was eating before, I was getting nowhere near what I needed. And then after we set the macros, it was kind of um, everything kind of improved. My energy improved. I was started sleeping better, which was huge for me because I've always been a very restless sleeper. And I remember like the first month, like I slept better than I have in years. And then the weight just basically started falling off.
Mm-hmm.
I think I've lost 20 pounds total, and you know, I'm hungry, but like I actually feel good after I eat, if that makes sense. I don't get that bloated feeling. I don't, feel like run down or bad after I eat.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's interesting because I know when you first started, we were under eating. Like you weren't eating enough food, if I remember correctly. Like, and that's another like, you know, uh, common thing that guys get confused about. They're like, well, wait, I'm trying to lose weight. I'm trying to get leaner. Don't I need to eat less? And when I have you guys start eating more, I'm like, trust me, you need to eat more. Like, this is like more food than I've ever ate in my life. I'm going to get fat. And it's like, no, we need to get your machine working at, a more optimum level. Like right now it's like operating at bare minimum because we're not fueling the machine. And on top of that, we already know that you were working your butt off, training hard, with the programs that I put out on it, like those are not easy, and so when we're not fueling our body properly, like it's just gonna hold on for dear life, and we're not gonna lose any weight. We're gonna hold on to body fat, if anything, just kind of being in starvation mode. So it's always interesting to see that with you guys when you hit that point where it's like, just trust me, just keep eating more food. And then it's like, boom, it's like you got this surge of energy, your performance is going up in your workouts, and then the body fat starts to really come off. And so you've lost 20 pounds. When you look at your before and afters, like what I think is really cool is you can't tell you've lost a lot of weight. It just looks like you just leaned out. Like it looks like you've maintained the same weight, if anything, but there's a clear difference in the body composition. So I think that's really, that's what a lot of guys are after, you know what I mean? And it really comes down to getting consistent with your macros. So I guess talk about that, like share some of the tips and, tactics that you've used, because I get this a lot from police officers in particular, especially when they're like shift work, like what they need to do to get that dialed in. And I'm just curious on, some of the different things that you've done to help make it work.
Sure. Well, the big thing is planning. Like you have to plan it out, like what you're going to eat. Like I'm okay being a creature of habit. So like I can have the same breakfast every morning. It doesn't bother me. I don't have to, switch it up a bunch. So that's easy. And then, lunch, usually like whatever, like dinners, we just pack up the same stuff. Like we had the dinner the night before and then I eat that for lunch. So once I've had my breakfast and lunch, then I will kind of pre-plan or pre-track my dinner to see what I need. And then I kind of make the adjustments from there. Mm-hmm. So, like my morning routine is always the same. I get up at 5, I do my workout. I have, a protein shake after my workout, and then I eat breakfast. So those are always the same. Like I said, lunch is usually something that we had the night before. So like that's already macro. And then, just pre-plan for dinner. It helps stay pretty consistent.
Yeah. Planning is definitely the key when it comes to macros, but more so like with your nutrition period. Like if you think about it, if we're trying to improve your quality, for a lot of guys, that's what they need to improve first is their quality. Like, well, you need to start planning that out a little bit. Like have good food available with you. Like if you go to work, you're going to be at work and you're going to be go. If you don't plan for that, you already know you're at the mercy of, the vending machine or the gas station or the drive-thru. And so the quality isn't going to be where it needs to be. But once we get into, the actual, macro side of things, and we get you to a good point where, okay, this is the sweet spot. This is where we need to be. This is how much you need to be eating. Like, yeah, it's definitely going to take legwork. It's going to take a little bit of extra effort to get there. But would you say the results, are worth it?
Oh, absolutely. And after a while, you don't even think about it. It just becomes part of your routine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's really where we're trying to get ourselves to, because I know since the shred challenge, I haven't tracked a single thing macro wise. Like I haven't, been too diligent with it, but I just know where I'm at. And I know a lot of the guys, especially yourself, like that was one of the big habits and big, takeaways that we got from the challenge. Like we were so consistent, so dialed in for that short period of time that now we know kind of exactly where we need to be. And I'll hit on the fact that if you do want to drive your results forward and you want accelerated progress, just become a creature of habit. I think that's going to definitely benefit you. It's going to help stack the chips in your favor. I know some guys have trouble with that. They're like, well, I want a lot of variety. And it's like, well, it's going to take a little bit more time for you to really dial in and get things consistent when you're always trying to eat different things. I would put the fact on, why I'm so successful with my own nutrition is the same as you. I'm a creature of habit. Like, I eat the same thing for breakfast pretty much every single day. A lot of times it's the same thing for lunch. And then, really dinner is different depending on what we're cooking and what we're having there. And I'm curious, what do you guys do family dinners, or what do you guys do for dinner?
It kind of varies. Like, so she's pregnant. So a lot of the times, so sweet potatoes is kind of a funny story. Like, I didn't really eat a lot of sweet potatoes before this program. And after listening to you talk about them, like, and how good they are for you. So she's like, you'd like them. And she made them up for me. And I loved them. I eat them almost every night.
Yep.
Making them so much, it's just kind of funny. So usually we do like a lean meat of some kind, and then like rice, the basmati rice from Costco. We eat that a lot. Sweet potatoes, yellow potatoes, something like that.
Yes.
Usually is dinner.
Yep. And sweet potatoes. And what I've been doing lately, and I just made a fresh Costco run, speaking of sweet potatoes, and I get these baby potatoes from there as well. I was fresh out for like the last week, and so I was just doing like a lot of rice. But yeah, I'll get the big old, I think it's like a 40-pound bag of white rice and just these bags of potatoes. And so what I've been doing, and this is absolute bomb. I'll have to share this recipe with the guys in the Brotherhood. But basically what I've been doing is I've been taking a big pan, and so I'll obviously skin the potatoes, but then we have like a handheld like slicer. And so I'll slice the potatoes just in like chips, and I basically make sweet potato chips. And so I'll lay it all out on the pan. I'll take avocado oil. I'll just spray the top, and I'll spray the bottom of the pan so they don't stick. But I'll put it in the oven at 500, and as I'm cooking my other food, those are kind of baking in the oven, and I pull them out. They get a little crispy, but I'll top that with just a little bit of Parmesan cheese. I'll put some sea salt on it. And then I've been switching up. I kind of change the flavor on a nightly routine. I have like these 4 different like herbs, like herb combinations. So it's like garlic and herb. There's like a cilantro lime. There's like a garden mix, stuff like that. Oh, it's so good. And so I look forward to those every single night. Like, it's either I do sweet potatoes or I'll do these baby potatoes, and I'll kind of just slice up the baby potatoes and do the same thing and just spread them out on the pan. And those are phenomenal. And I think you might know, like, and I've told you guys about this quite a bit, but typically like Friday nights, we'd always go out, and it's like the non-negotiable meal of the week. Don't track it, just, get whatever you want, really. And we'd typically go to Cheesecake Factory, and I'd always get their sweet potato fries, and then I'd bring them home and I'd actually crisp them up a little bit in the oven. But I honestly have not missed those with the whole like pandemic hitting. Like, we haven't gotten any takeout or anything like that. So I kind of had to improvise, and that's what I've come up with. I don't even think I'll ever go back to the old sweet potatoes. I'll just stay with the homemade. So have you ever tried a air fryer?
We have one. Yeah.
Do you have one? Have you ever cooked up sweet potato fries in that or anything like?
Listening to that, I hope you share that recipe, because we'll definitely.
Yeah, I will, man. I will. And in fact, I've tried it a couple of times. I'm typically like a meat, potato, and like salt kind of guy, but I have tried basically doing the same thing, but I'll put sea salt on it, and then a little bit of cinnamon and sugar on top of those sweet potatoes too. So a little bit of a dessert rather than like a dinner entree, right?
Sure.
So definitely, man.
Yeah.
But, so nutrition wise, biggest takeaway from that is obviously a lot of, you just got to plan, but the biggest thing is just consistency. And it's just knowing that you just got to get to a consistent place. And I would, go as far as, mentioning just being a creature of habit. If you're really trying to get things moving in the right direction, like that's the first thing I would say is just limit your options. And I know we talk about that with like the lean, 16, like having 4 different selections of your main macros and just trying to stick to those for a certain period of time until you get some good consistency going. So, but
Mhm.
other than that, like what else has helped you on the nutrition side?
The weekly coaching calls or the live roundtables, those have been awesome. And of course, the fuel guide, what a resource. If I ever have any questions, I can usually find it in that.
Mhm.
That food totem pole or the
Yeah.
food totem. That I learned a lot from that actually because I was one of the guys that was trying to out supplement a bad diet,
Yep.
and seeing that last on the thing, it kind of drives home how important it is. Well, you need good quality food.
Mhm.
And then that's why I call it a supplement. It's not meant to replace anything. It's just meant to be a supplement. So,
Yep. And yeah, the fuel totem pole, it's interesting when somebody first sees that and I take them through it, it's upside down. It's supplements, timing, quality, and then quantity at the very, very top. And oftentimes guys are looking at things from a completely upside down approach. It's like supplements at the top, right? Like it's all about the supplements. So, but yeah, so beyond that, obviously we know, our success. If it was just as easy as, hey, here's the magic meal plan or even magic set of macros for you, or hey, here's the perfect workout program. We know it's not that easy. We got all these different moving pieces going on. Like you obviously, you guys are having a baby, so there's a lot of extra responsibilities and focuses that you have. And so how have you been able to kind of bring everything together? Like what's been your key uh, tips and tricks in regards to helping, move your success forward along those lines?
again, it comes back to the planning, like formulating a battle plan for the day. Like, okay, what do I want to accomplish today, and how am I going to go about doing?
Yeah.
So you set aside, like, okay, from this time, boom, boom, and you start with the things you want to accomplish, and you just formulate the plan and stick to it, and adjust as you need, but try to formulate some sort of plan so you have a plan for your day rather than just trying to make it up as you go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Planning is so key. And um, what you hit on, like at the very beginning, it's like we're all busy, right? Like uh, with our job, trying to fit things in, things happen later in the day, and it's like, okay, now we can't get that in. And so, yeah, setting out a plan of attack, but having the discipline to stick to that plan of attack is always really the deal breaker, because we can have the perfect plan, but if we wake up and we're unmotivated, we don't feel like getting that workout in early in the morning when we know that's the only time we have for it, then that's really on you, So I think that's a big key to add in with that is the discipline side of things, right? And that's obviously one of the big things that we talk about inside the Forge Father is, you have to live a disciplined lifestyle. It can't just be driven by motivation, because if it was,
Mm-hmm.
if it was motivation, we'd constantly just be going up and down, up and down, up and down, and pretty much around in circles. So it's a different type of path that we walk. And, like I said in the beginning, I have a ton of respect for you in regards to just, you've been walking that path and you're leading from the front, and I'm excited to see what lies ahead for us beyond. Cause really, I mean, gosh, we've just gotten started with this thing and really have gotten into a groove and have gained a lot of momentum. So what are some of the big things that you have, I guess, vision wise for yourself? Like where are we trying to get ourselves to? Obviously we're preparing for, one of the most special things, and that's, a baby's going to be coming very, very soon. So we got to be prepared for that. But outside of that, what are your big goals set on?
I'd like to keep chipping away at the body fat, keep improving the performance as things start opening up again. Probably going to start teaching more. I think we talked about, I got promoted to black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, so I was asked to start teaching a little more, and then also looking to open up, well, I guess start Krav Maga business as well. So looking to be successful with that, but also make sure that I have time to get, the family stuff in, and have the energy to get the family stuff in, because that's a pretty packed schedule. So going to have to be disciplined, going to have to make the planning, make the battle plans to make sure that I can do everything that I'm hoping to do,
Yeah.
and keep the wife happy.
Yep. That's always a key thing to keep in mind is, we got to keep the wife happy. We got to keep the family happy. And, as a dad, that's just one of the hats that we have to wear. We have to wear, being present, being in the moment, being with family, but on top of all these other things. And that's another big thing that I respect about you is, gosh, you've done so many great things up to this point, but you're not even close to being done. It's like Krav Maga business, being an entrepreneur with that. That's obviously going to take a lot of time and effort and commitment and, taking control of that and growing it. But just the fact that you have a black belt, you don't earn that in just a couple of weeks. You can't go buy that. You have to put in the time, you have to put in the effort, and it's truly earned, never given. So that's pretty awesome. And I'm excited for you, man, for the new baby. I can't remember. Have you guys found out if it's a boy or a girl?
Not yet. We find out Monday.
Awesome. So you guys doing like a reveal type party or anything like that?
I don't know. We talked about it, but I don't know. I am not good at surprises, so I just like tell me I want to know. And
yeah.
So we'll see.
Funny story about that. So our second daughter, we didn't find out. My wife, she found out on our third, and I just told her not to tell me. But we did like a reveal. We did a reveal party for our first daughter, and we did like a cake. So you cut into the cake, and then it was either pink or blue. And I remember we were just so driven on having a boy, and we're just so like we had basically talked ourselves into believing that we were having a boy. It's not going to be anything else. And so we got a bunch of family together and a bunch of friends. And I remember when we cut into the cake, I saw it was pink. Of course, my heart kind of dropped. I was like, dang it. We're having a girl. My wife like started crying. She wanted a boy so bad that first time. But man, we wouldn't have it any other way. And it's just the best experience ever. It's just awesome. So it's good stuff. And with 3 girls, man, I don't know if I could handle a boy. We'll see.
If I have a girl, I'm done for. I'm done.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, your heart is just going to be locked up, and it's not going to belong to you anymore. It belongs to your daughter for sure. So it's exciting stuff, man. So I'm happy to be, somewhat involved with that process. I'm excited to see, what that brings for you. So, but beyond that, do you have any other big, I guess, ahas or, key things that you want to share that we haven't gone over yet? Like any keys to success that you've discovered over the course of your journey thus far, man?
I trust the process. That's like the best thing I guess I can say, is just trust the process.
Yeah. And
like the brotherhood and everything, and you just got to be a part of the process.
Yeah, trust in the process. And then what you mentioned, being a part of the process, really, that's when you're just going to get pushed harder. You're going to be held a little bit more accountable. And it's really just jumping into the fire. And, that's the first thing that you have to do is just jump in the fire and then just trust that you're going to get yourself out of that fire when you follow the path. Right. And it could be, it's certainly not a perfect journey. It's an up and down journey. It's a left and right journey, climbing over and under barriers. But when you stay committed to that path, great things happen. And really, you already know this, but everything that we want is on the other side of the resistance that we're going to continue to face. And it's like we've gotten ourselves to this point, 5 months into the program, the resistance is only just starting, really. Like the resistance is going to continue to hit us in all directions. But that's where the growth and the ascension really comes from, is facing that resistance and then working through it. And it's just like building your muscles. You gotta push through those hard reps, push through the fatigue, push through the failure, and then next time you come back, you're stronger. So it's been a great time having you aboard this journey. And like I said, I'm excited to see what's ahead for us, man.
I said I'm happy to be a part of the program, and I'm excited too.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Good stuff. Well, I thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. As always, I truly appreciate the time, the effort, the commitment, and most importantly, the trust that you've put into this whole journey. And yeah, man, I can't say it enough. I'm, excited to see, what lies ahead and where we're going to build ourselves up to. So thanks again for coming on,
Of
brother.
course.